Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Beatrice. If this is your first time seeing my YouTube channel, thank you so much for stopping by. To my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support so far. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to sew or couple these male trouser pants. So I already dropped the cutting tutorial of this trouser on my channel. If you're interested in watching it, I'm going to be leaving a link in my description box, so go ahead and check it out. So this tutorial is going to be very detailed, so just pay attention and watch it to the end. You're going to get everything right. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. So let's get right started. So guys, this is the part 2 of this video. If you want to watch the cutting tutorial of this trouser, the link is in the description box, so you check it out. So I have my back welt pocket here. I have my waistband cut out in two pieces right here. I weaved the sides, and then I have this white fabric for the pocket. I have my pocket flap and also my zip flap. This pocket flap measures 3.5 inches by 9 inches. I cut two pieces. So this zip flap, I have two of it. I have the front part of my trouser and the back part. So let's start sewing this trouser right now. So right here is one of the front piece of the trouser. As you can see, as I'm arranging it here, if you can notice, I ironed the side, but I'm going to give you a recap on the measurements. So at the top of the trouser, I went inward by 2 inches and I notched that area, and then I came down by 7 inches and then I notched that area as well. You can see between those lines I folded it and ironed it. So I'm going to repeat it again from those notched areas, from the top and the down. I folded it in a slant-like manner and I ironed it. So in between that line, I cut out this hard gum stay, which is 1 inch wide. I placed it in between that line, that slant line, and I ironed it. I did this just to give structure to the pocket. So we are going to repeat this same process on the other side. So let's start stitching the pockets. So this white fabric here is the pocket piece of the trouser. If you want to get the measurements of this, just watch the cutting tutorial of this trouser. The link is in the description box. So I'll just open my pocket wide. Then from that slant line that I ironed by the side, I'm just going to place it on top of that pocket. From the side, from the top part, that straight part, not from the curved area. Then I'm going to stitch from that line down. After stitching on top of that slant line, placing it on top of that white pocket piece, this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to fold that pocket inward like so. Just watch what I'm doing. Then I'm just going to make a straight stitch from the top to that notched area, just like I did right here. But before I'm going to do that, I'm going to notch that area down to make things easier for me. Then I'm going to stitch it down. After top stitching on that slant line, I'm just going to open that pocket piece wide like so. So that other flap that is inward, I'm just going to open it wide and stitch it to hold it down. After top stitching the side pocket, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my white pocket piece wide like so. Then I'm going to take my pocket flap, which measures 3.5 inches and 9 inches long. So I'm just going to place that straight part on top of that other side of the pocket piece, that straight area like so, and then I'm just going to make a straight stitch from the top all the way to the other side, just to hold the pocket flap together to the piece. After top stitching the pocket flap to the main pocket piece, this is what I have. So you can see how wide the pocket is. So the next thing, I'm going to just take that slant area and place it on top of that pocket piece. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go inward by 2 inches. That 2 inches we folded at the other side. replace it back and mark it out right there. Then I'll place my tape downward and mark 7 inches and mark it right there. Then I'm going to take that slant part of my pocket, place it on those mark lines like so. Just make it to be slant and just top stitch to hold it down around those marked areas, just like I'm doing right here. After securing those points down, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to raise this trouser up like so to work on the pocket piece. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scissors to notch that area inward, just a tiny notch inward like so. This will make it easier for you to sew your pocket when you flip it inside out. Then I'm going to insert my hand to that opening part of the pocket, and then I'm going to push that pocket inward like so. After turning the pocket inside out, I'm just going to arrange it together around that notched area and just make a straight stitch all the way to the other side. After stitching that down part, just notch out those areas just like I'm doing right here so you can relax properly. Then from that open end, just try to push the pocket inside out to the other side like so. After turning the pocket inside out, you can see it is now closed from the inside. So I'm just going to make a top stitch on top of that down part all the way to the other side. After top stitching it, our pocket is ready. So I'm going to insert my hand towards that opening area. You can see the pocket is now closed. So the whole same process I did for this side, you're going to repeat it on the other side of the trouser. So I'm just going to do this off camera and then we're going to continue stitching this trouser. Meanwhile, at the top, I'm just going to stitch the trouser piece and the pocket piece together just to hold it down. After stitching the other pocket piece on the other side, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to be doing right now is I'm going to be stitching my zip to this trouser. Then I'm going to place these two front piece trouser together, right sides facing each other like so. I'm just going to arrange it properly. Then I'm going to use my tape. From the top, I'm going to measure down to 7 inches and mark it there. That is where I want that zipper to stop. Or better still, you're just going to take your zipper and place it from the top to know where your zipper is going to stop. So that 7 inches is okay, just like I marked it right there. So from that mark point, I'm just going to make a marked a point where I'm going to stitch by half of an inch all the way to this down part here. After stitching that center part, I just open the trouser to the right side like so. So I have my zipper flap here. I'm just going to fold it into two just like I'm doing right here. Then from that open area, I'm just going to face my zip downward to the right side of the fabric, but I'm going to bring the zip head down so I can stitch it properly. I'm going to fold the zipper flap into two, place it on top of that zip and stitch it all the way to this down part here. So guys, if you're having a hard time stitching this down, I would advise you stitch the zipper to the trouser first before stitching the flap to it. Just stitch the zipper first before attaching the flap. After securing that zipper area down, just fold your zipper flap into two like so and just place it on top of that zipper area and stitch it all the way to that close end. After stitching the zipper flap to this area, so if I turn it to the other side, this is what I'm going to have. Meanwhile, from the wrong side of that front zipper area, just after where that zip stopped, I'm just going to notch that area just like I'm doing right here. It's going to make it easier for me when I'm stitching the other side of the flap. Then I'm going to take the other part of my zipper flap, right sides facing each other on that other open end side, just like I'm doing right here. Just place it on top of it, right sides facing each other. Stitch it down by half of an inch to hold it down. After stitching the other zipper flap to the other open ends, this is what I have. So I'm just going to push the flaps on the both sides inward like so. Meanwhile, I'm going to try to top stitch around this area or iron it so it can lay flat. Then I'm going to try to overlap the other side of the flap on top of the zipper area like so. So when I'm done overlapping, I'll just use my chalk to mark at the other side of the flap just like I did. So replicate it to the other side. Then I'm going to turn the trouser to the wrong side like so. I'm going to push that flap inside. Then I'm just going to open that other flap like so. So if you can see from that marked point, I'm just going to place my zipper there, and then I'm going to now align it and then make a straight stitch. I've pinned it down at the top. I'm just going to make a straight stitch all the way to the upper part. So I started stitching from the middle part, not all the way down, just to hold the zip down before continuing. After stitching to this point, then I'm going to close my zipper. Then the unstitched part, I'm just going to now align it together and stitch it down. After stitching the zip, I'm going to turn it to the front, and this is what we have. You can see how it's already overlapping on the other side. So guys, at this point I went ahead to iron that overlap area to lay flat like so. I ironed the inseams from the inside, so I'm just trying to overlap the other side on top of the zipper area, and I'm going to pin it down just like I'm doing right here. Then from where that overlap area started, I'm going to go inward by 1.5 inches and mark it all the way down just like I'm doing right here. Then when I've reached this point, I'm going to open that trouser inward like so. I'm just going to try to spread apart those flaps like so, so it doesn't give me a tough time when stitching. Then I'm going to use my free hand to try to make a curve to where that stitch stopped, that zipper area stopped. Then I'm going to make a very straight stitch from where I marked from the top all the way to this side. After making this straight stitch all the way to the other side, our zipper flap is ready. As you can see, I'm just going to open this and close so you can see the outcome. So let's go on to the next part right now. So let's set this front piece aside and work on the back part of the trouser. So this is the back part of the trouser. So this is the right side now. I'm going to fold this back trouser right sides facing each other into two like so. Then I'm going to notch the midpoint like so. From the up part of the back part, I came down by 3.5 inches, as you can see, and then I went inward by half of an inch for my dart. Then I'm just going to use my chalk to make a slant line to that down part. I'm going to now stitch down that dart. After stitching the dart, this is what I have. You're just going to iron this so it can lie properly. So I'm going to repeat the same process for the other back piece. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be only attaching one welt side pocket for the back. So this welt pocket measures 18 inches long and 7 inches wide. So I'm going to go ahead and iron my gum stay on this, and then we'll come back and continue the stitching process. After securing my dart on the two back pieces and ironing it, this is what I have. I ironed that dart area so it can lay flat. So now, just where that dart stopped, I drew a straight line across to the other side, just like I did here. Then the width of that box is 3/4 of an inch. I measured it, so I'm going to also draw a straight line all the way to the other side. So the width of this pocket is 6 inches wide. So I placed 6 inches wide. I divided 6 into 2, marked it on both sides from the middle like so, and I drew a center line to divide that box into two like so. So I iron my gum stay on top of this welt pocket, as you can see, and then the width of this hard gum stay is 6 inches wide and 3 inches long, as you can see right here. So from the top of this welt pocket, I came down by half of an inch before ironing that hard gum stay. You know it has that shining part, so when you're ironing it, make sure you iron it on the wrong side and not on the right side. So now from where that hard gum stay started, I came down by 1 inch, and then I drew a straight line across. Then I came down by 3/4 of an inch as the width of that box. The same thing I did for the back piece, as you can see. And then the width of that pocket or on the hard gum stay is 6 inches wide. Then I'm going to now use my biro. From the middle line of that box, I'll just connect a slant line to the edge of that box, just like I'm doing right here. Then I'm going to repeat the same process on the box that I marked on the fabric. Just connect a slant line from the middle to the edge of the box, like so. Then I'm going to take my well pocket, the part that doesn't have the hard gum stay. I'm going to face it to the right side of the back piece. I'll take my pin and poke it at the edge of that box, and then try to connect it or align it to that box line I drew on the back piece of the trouser, just like I'm doing right here. I'm just going to try to connect it together like so, or better still, I'm going to use my pin to pin it at the middle part like so. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want my lines to align when I'm stitching it down on my stitching machine. So I'm going to go ahead and make a straight stitch around the box like so. After stitching it down, I'm just going to fold it into two like so. Then I'll use my scissors to slash it open from that middle line like so. Then I'm going to open it up, and then I'll just slit it open from that middle line to the other side like so. So when you reach to this area, those slant lines towards the edge of the box, you're going to slash it open like so. After slashing it open, I'm going to repeat the same process for the other side. Then I'm going to push the upper part inward like so, and then I'm also going to push that lower part inward like so. Just turn it to the wrong side of the trouser. Then the next thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open that upper part like so. I'll iron this area down, that stitched area down. I'll iron it really flat. I'll also raise the longer part of that well pocket and iron it from that stitched part. And then I'll open the sides and iron that area. Just iron it so it can lay flat very well. So this is me ironing the welt pocket. As you can see, I'm ironing the sides, the top and the down parts. At this point, just fold the longer piece of the welt pocket to cover that opening like so and pin it down. So I turned it to the other side, and as you can see, my welt pocket is forming. Just iron it again, then we'll continue stitching. After ironing the welt pocket, you can see what it looks like on the other side. The next thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up the side. This pointy edge, I'm just going to top stitch around this area. I'll repeat the same thing for the other side as well. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch on these sides like so. After top stitching, use your pressing iron to press this down really flat. After ironing it, this is what I have. I'm going to turn this trouser to the other side. Then the longer part of this wet pocket, I'm going to fold it to the waist area like so. And then I'm going to pin it down. Then I'm going to hold the pocket like so together. Then I'm going to align it properly. Then from the down part, I'm going to stitch it to where that gum stay stopped. Then I'm going to repeat the same process for the other side of the pocket. I'm going to stitch it down by half of an inch. After stitching it down, you can see as our welt pocket is formed already. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the pins at the top part of the trouser. So if you can notice, the upper part of the pocket is still open. So we're going to try to close it down. So I'm going to flip my trouser downward like so. Then you can see where that stitch is. I'm going to stitch on top of that to close that area down. Before stitching this down, I'm going to push my inseam to the other side, and then I'm going to top stitch directly on top of that line all the way to the other side. After stitching the upper part, you can see as this pocket is closed at the upper area and our pocket is formed already. Then the next thing is I'm going to turn the pocket to the wrong side. Then I'm going to top stitch the pocket to the waist part of the trouser like so. So our welt pocket is 100% ready right now. So let's set this aside and join the trousers together. So this is the front part of the trouser. I'm going to take one of my back piece and place it on top of my front trouser, right sides facing each other like so. Just align it properly and then pin it down. So when I cut this trouser, I used 1.5 inches on my waistline as stitching allowance and the hip line. So I'm going to divide that 1.5 into 2 and mark it all the way to the hip line like so. Then I'm going to stitch on those mark lines to where those markings stop. Then I'll show you what next to do. Then you can see I'm going to stop just right there. Then I'm going to come. So from the front leg of the other side of the trouser, I just place my tape from the knee line down to my hem line just to get what I have there. I'm just trying to get my knee line so I can mark on the other side of the trouser. So I'm going to now mark it there. So this have just given me an idea of where my knee line is. Then from the knee line, I'm going to share the measurement I used for my allowance when cutting this trouser at the knee line. So I used 1 inch. I'm going to share it into two, making it half inch. So I'll mark it all the way to the hem line because I also use 1 inch down there as well. After marking out the half inch on the knee line to the ankle line, I connected it all the way to where I stopped stitching at the hip line. So I'm going to stitch it down all the way to the end. After stitching one side of the trouser together, this is what it looks like right now. You can see the outcome of it. So I'm going to take the other back piece of my trouser, place it on the front piece and repeat the same process. After I stitched the side of the trouser all the way to the hemline, this is the outcome of it. Then I'm going to align the two back pieces on each other like so, right sides facing each other. I'm just going to align it properly. So I flipped my trouser to the other side. So now we're going to be taking the measurement of the waist. So now I'm going to take my tape from that zipper area. I'm going to now divide my waist circumference into two like so. So my waist measurement divided by 2 is 15.7. So from that zipper area, I'm just going to place my tape just after that stitch all the way to the other side. I'm going to mark out that waist measurement there. I'm just going to mark it out. So at the end of the day, what I have there is 2.5 inches remaining. Then I marked out the 2.5 inches. So at the end of the day, I'm going to trim out the excess by the side. So I'm going to come down just a little bit. I'm going to go out by 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to connect it all the way to this down part here. After marking out the lines, then I'm going to connect my lines like so. Then I'm going to stitch on that line all the way down, just like I'm doing right here. After stitching it, then I'm going to flip the trouser to the other side. I'm going to stitch the under part of the trouser. I'll align it together like so. Then I'm going to mark out the remaining half inch on my knee line all the way to my ankle line, just like I'm doing right here. Then from my crouch line, I marked out the remaining 0.75 inch from my crouch line all the way almost to my knee line like so. After marking out the lines, I'm going to align this trouser together and stitch it down. I'm done stitching the trouser around the crouch area, and this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn this trouser inside out so we can now stitch the waistband. So first of all, let's work on the belt holders of the trouser before fixing the waistband to it. So the width of this belt holders is almost 2 inches wide. So I ironed the soft gum stay on this fabric because it was too soft and it was going to give me a hard time when I'm stitching it. So now I ironed half inch on both sides, and I'm going to fold it together like so on top of each other. Then I'm going to stitch it down. After stitching my strap, this is what I have. I'm going to take my tape and measure of about 4 inches long. Then I'm going to cut it out. Then I'm going to place that 4 inches that I cut out on top of the other ones, and then I'll cut about 6 pieces. After cutting the straps, then we're going to make our markings where we're going to place the straps. So from that zipper area by this side, I'll mark out 3 inches, just like I'm doing right here. Then just after that stitch there, I'm going to go out by 3.5 inches. Then from the side, I'm going to go out by 1/4 of an inch and mark it right there. And then from the other side, I will repeat the same thing as well. Then at the back, from the middle, I'm going to go out by 3 inches on both sides, just like I'm doing right here. So guys, you can choose to put a strap at the middle area, but at the end of the day, I didn't put that strap there. So these are the points we're going to be placing our strap. So let's stitch the waistband to it now. Then I'm going to open my zip at the front, but first of all, I'm going to use my razor or my seam ripper to rip off that stitch at the middle at the back there, because I cut this waistband into two. So at the end of the day, I'm going to still stitch it back. So at this point, I spread my trouser wide open like this. Meanwhile, I cut out this waistband. So this is the width of my waistband. I cut it out to be 5 inch at first, but I trimmed out the excess at the side. So it's approximately 4 inches. So I folded ½ inch inward like so. Then I now folded like 1.5 inches because that's the width of the waistband. The remaining part is to overlap. Then at this point, I place the waistband on top of the trouser, right sides facing each other like so, making sure there's excess at that starting point for my flap at the front. So I'm going to align it and stitch it together. Then when I reached at this mark point for the belt holders, I'm going to place my belt holder under like so and place the waistband on top and stitch it down. Then when I reach the mark point around the side, I'm going to spread that inseam wide. Then I'm going to take my belt holder and place it on that mark point, place my waistband and stitch it. So that's what you're going to do for the other mark points. Then I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side. Remember, I cut 2 pieces of this waistband. So I'm going to start from the back to the front, just like I'm doing right here. After stitching, then this excess, I'm going to leave about like 1 inch excess. Then I'm going to cut it all the way to the top, just like I'm doing right here. You can see what we have now. Then I'm going to cut the excess that I have here at the back. Then at this point, I'm going to cut out the excess at the back part like so. I'm going to cut out the excess at both sides of the back, just like I'm doing right here. Then at the front part of the trouser around that zipper flap, I'm going to fold this waistband into two like so. Make sure you fold it to align with the middle line. Then you're going to stitch it down by half of an inch. After stitching, I'm going to trim out the excess like so. Then I'm going to notch it so you can relax properly. Then I'll turn it inside out like so and top stitch around that area. Then at the other side of the flap, I'm going to fold the waistband into two like so. Then I'll take my tape. Just after that flap, I'll go outward by 1 inch, mark it out. Then it's from there I'm going to stitch it all the way to the top right here. After stitching the other part of the flap, then I'm going to cut out the excess like so, and then I'm going to notch around that area so it can relax properly. Then I'm going to turn it inside out. After turning it inside out, you can see how the flap has overlapped, so I'm just going to zip it up. You can see the outcome of it. So let's finish stitching this waistband now. So around this flap area, I'm going to top stitch around that area. Then I'll use my chalk to indicate that there's going to be a buttonhole there, because I'm going to be fixing button under like so. So I'm just going to zip this trouser down and then try to close the waistband. So at this waistband area, the inseam from the inside right here, I'm going to push it inside. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to trim out the excess zipper at the top. Then I'll just try to like push the inseam inward like so and cover the waistband on top. Then I'm going to make a stitch in between the joining of that waistband to the trouser, and I'll stitch it down all the way to the other side. After closing the waistband, this is what I have. So you can see it's closed from the inside right now. So I'm going to repeat the same process for the other side. And at this point, I'm going to fold the belt strap inward like so. But first of all, I'm going to cut out excess because it's too long. I'm going to fold it like so and then top stitch it all the way to the other side. Like I said earlier, you're going to repeat the same process of stitching the belt holders on the other side of the waistband or the waist area. So at this point, I place the two back pieces together like so. I'm going to stitch it down from where I loosed it before joining the waistband. So I marked where that stitch started, and then I'm just going to connect a curve line to my crouch at the back like so. Just like I'm doing here, I'm connecting it to where that stitch stopped. Then I'm going to stitch it down. After stitching the two back pieces together, this is the outcome. So I'm just going to trim out the excess by the side like so. After trimming out the excess at the back, this is what I have. You can trim out more excess if you feel it's still too much excess at the back. So I'm going to open the inseams at the back. I'll iron it down really flat. Then I'm going to turn this trouser inside out right now. So the last thing to do on this trouser now is to hem the down part of the trouser. So when I cut this trouser, the hemming allowance was 1.5, so I ironed it inward, as you can see. So I'm just going to just push it inward and just try to align it together. So I'm just going to align it properly, and then I'm going to stitch it down all the way to the other side, and then I'm going to stitch the other leg as well. So after hemming the down part of the trouser, I went ahead to make my buttonhole and fix my button. So this is the end result of the trouser. So you can see how it looks like. So this is how it looks like at the down part and also at the back parts of this trouser. You can see the outcome. So if at this point you've watched this tutorial to this extent and you've not hit the like and subscribe button, please hit the like and subscribe button. Please encourage me. At least let me be encouraged. Help my channel to grow. So I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.